Well, welcome everybody to another edition of Lewis at Large. Yours truly, Warner Lewis from the flight deck. And of course, that means some smart talk radio once again is in your future. And this segment is certainly no exception. Going to be talking about the Sprout Film Festival. Actually, it's a very, very unique film festival. 13th Annual Sprout Film Festival held later this month. And we're going to be talking to Abdool Laltrasprad, and that's a butcher of his name, but we'll get it right before the end of the show. A very, very unique film festival focusing on films that celebrate the diverse lives and creativity of people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. But we'll let Abdool talk a little bit more about that. Abdool, how are you, my friend?
I am great. It's a beautiful day here in New York.
It's always a beautiful day in New York, is it not?
Not this winter, no. I think that it had a lot of people wanting to run out west.
Yeah.
It's a really brutal winter, but it's beautiful today.
Well, most of our listeners have probably familiar with the Sundance Film Festival in Utah, and maybe even the Tribeca one that's held in New York City. But share with our Lewis at Large listeners, if you would, about the Sprout Festival. You've been going on 13 years now, but What is unique about this one?
So the Sprout Film Festival really started up to create a space for both just people, the general public, and members of the disability community to come together and see films that show accurate portrayals of subjects who have intellectual and developmental disabilities. The executive director of our company, Anthony DeSalvo, really wanted to create a space where film could be used as a means of sparking conversation and igniting some sort of social change. And the Sprout Film Festival has been really successful in bringing together a really diverse body of work for audiences to take a look at and incorporate into their lives, whether it's just conversation or whether it's in a classroom. We really try to bring these films to the forefront to have some sort of social impact.
So it is the mission then of the Sprout Film Festival to focus on the IDD issues versus, or does the subject change from year to year?
No, the films are always related to intellectual and developmental disabilities. There are other festivals that focus on larger both physical and mental and intellectual. But with our films, we only deal with IDD. Every year, you obviously get a very different group of, selection. We make it very different group of selections, but all the films are related to intellectual and developmental disabilities. And what makes the Sprout Film Festival particularly unique is we don't show films that, like Rain Man, for example, in which an actor is portraying a character that has a disability that he or she does not. So all of our films are authentic portrayals either made by or featuring subjects who have the disability that they're portraying.
One of the questions I think that would come to mind immediately then are, so do they necessarily fall into the documentary category, or these are, again, films with a plot and just executed by this population of people?
So what's wonderful is that all the films, we receive hundreds of submissions each year, and this year we're showing 37 films from 8 different countries, and we receive an extremely diverse selection of work. So we get both short and feature-length documentaries, narratives, music videos, animations. We screen all different types of films, and it's really rare to find well-executed narratives. We do receive a lot of documentaries. However, this year we're screening some terrific films. And, there really is a stigma that when you work with an actor who has a disability that, you're not really going to get quality material, and our festival really shows that that's not true. There's so much talent within this community, and filmmakers are finally tapping into it, and the results are just incredible. Our festival is proof of that. We show so many films that are incredibly unique, and our actors, the actors that are in the films we screen, really show you what they can do and what's possible. Rather than seeing disability as a limitation, you see it as an advantage, another quirk that you can incorporate into your role.
Again, if you just joined us, yours truly, Warner Lewis from the flight deck of Lewis at Large Radio, and we're talking about the Sprout Film Festival coming up later this month in New York City. We're talking to Abdool Laltrasprad. He is the film coordinator for the festival, now 13 years strong and growing. Abdool, what about whose idea was this in the beginning, and why this particular subject?
So Sprout is programmed. The Sprout Film Festival is programmed and supported by Sprout. Sprout is a nonprofit organization founded in 1979, and for the past 36 years, it's been bringing innovative programs to people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. And our executive director, Anthony DeSalvo, has always had a love for film, and in the early 90s, he really decided he saw the impact film could make if used correctly within this community. And so he tried to incorporate a program into our vacation wing of this company called the Sprout Make a Movie trip. And that started in 1994. And what we do is we work with a group of clients to teach them how to tell their stories behind the camera, and also as actors in the films that they create themselves. And that program really launched Sprout in a direction of using film and incorporating it into our program, our normal programming. And so it was in the early 2000s that Anthony thought of the idea to create the Sprout Film Festival, and so then from there on we decided to give it a go, and in 2005 we held our first event.
Where's the event actually held?
I'm sorry, in 2003 we held our first event. We've held them at many different venues around the city. Currently, right now, we're holding it at the School of Visual Arts Theater, the SVA Theater. And the SVA Theater is a state-of-the-art venue. The screening room the theater that we're screening these films in seat up to 500 people. Lots of different filmmakers use the space. So it's really incredible for a filmmaker who's made a short, not knowing where it would go in the festival circuit, to have a chance to have their film screened in such an incredible space in New York and to a very diverse audience. And we hold Q&As after each program. So it really is a terrific event.
What are some of the next sort of logical thing, obviously, when you put an event like this together, are who would be necessarily either corporate or other sponsorships, and what are some of the kinds of groups that you get support from, whether it's in advisory capacity or in just pure monetary capacity? Tell us a little bit about that.
So we receive support from a lot of different groups and organizations. We have like I said, we've been around. Sprout has been around for 36 years, so we have we have a following within the disability community here in the tri-state area. But with our festival, we receive a lot of funding from different organizations, such as the Lower Manhattan Cultural Council, National Endowment for the Arts, the New York Department of Cultural Affairs, and the ARC. The ARC is, we work largely with the ARC. A lot of our touring festivals are hosted by ARC chapters. In addition, this year, the Academy of Motion Picture and Arts and Sciences funded one of our programs, the Autism Sensory Friendly Screening. So that's really exciting for us. Last year, we decided to host almost like a pilot program in which we would do sensory-friendly screening. And for those who are listening and aren't familiar with sensory-friendly screening, it's started up by AMC, and it's targeted towards individuals on the autism spectrum. Many people who have autism struggle to be in a movie theater. It's just sensory overload, whether it's the brightness of the screen, the volume, the noise from the crowd, the theater lights. So we tried to work with the SVA Theater to create a space that is sensory-friendly, and that program especially features all films related to autism, and it's a truly unique program. We're the only festival in the country any festival of its kind in the country to do something like this. No other event has thought of doing it, and it's just another step to becoming more inclusive.
And again, you said you had entries from 7 different countries. Is that correct?
Well, we receive, we're screening films from 7 different countries, but we receive films from far and wide, from China to New Zealand. It's really such a mixed bag. And the selection process is always tough because, there are really some amazing films coming into our event, and if we just had more time to screen more, we would. Unfortunately, we're limited to just this weekend.
Right. So how big, for example, is Sprout, or at least the review board, so to speak, that makes the decisions on these films? Tell us about those people.
So the the acceptance process is, it is a pipeline. So we receive the film and we send them out to a committee a diverse committee of individuals, which include parents, advocates, film lovers, people who work within the field, people who don't, and of course the staff. We watch the films, and it's kind of like you narrow it down to. This is the hardest part. We do it in 3 stages. So we will do one first wave of considerations, then a second, and then the third is always the toughest because this year, for example, we received more feature-length submissions than we have in years, and we only can screen 3 within our time frame. So the 3 that we choose, it's a very intense process because you'll have some people advocating for one, and it takes a lot of deliberation and films having to be screened by many different people until we can lock in our schedule. It's a fun process. It just becomes really tough because sometimes we have some films that are amazing, but we just can't work them into the program this year.
What about are there any filmmakers or people that have worked on these films or been in these films in past years that may now be a name that is a household name at this point, regardless of the area in which they're a household name?
Mm-hmm, yep. This year we're screening a film. It's a short film called Guest Room, and it's starring Lauren Potter. She is the actress on Glee who has Down syndrome. And that film is made by a young filmmaker named Josh Tate. And Josh, we're actually screening 2 of his films this year. He does incredible work. He received a grant from the Film Society of San Francisco to make his feature-length debut called Loveland. And Loveland features an all-star, breakout cast of all the main actors have the disabilities that they're portraying, and it's just grade A acting and directing, and Josh has been a pioneer in including a very diverse range of actors into his film. He has a close tie to the disability community and is a big advocate, and the work he does is just incredible. He'll actually be at the festival with a few actors from both of the films that we're screening to hold a Q&A.
Well, I would think this would get tremendous support among a wide variety of communities, including the intellectual community, so to speak, and the celebrity community, I would think, in New York City, as well as many, many others. And it's a fascinating deal indeed. Again, it is the 13th annual Sprout Film Festival, held May 30th and 31st in New York City. If you're going back there to vacation or to visit New York at the end of the month, a tremendous opportunity for you to see some unique work for a very, very good cause. Again, sponsored by and supported by Sprout, the New York City nonprofit dedicated to bringing innovative programming to individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Abdool, how can people find out more about the festival and some more specifics?
So if you can't make it to the New York City event, we also host touring film festivals in which we work with organizations all across the United States to bring these films to your area. You can find out more information about that by visiting sprouttouringfilmfestival.org. And we also have a distribution company called Sproutflix, like Netflix, but Sproutflix, where you can go online and stream, download films for institutional, educational, and just entertainment purposes. You can find more about our New York City event by visiting sproutfilmfestival.org. There you can see trailers and get all the latest news about our event.
Well, Abdool Laltrasprad, thank you so much for sharing this information with us, enlightening us on this, and best of luck with the festival, and would love to have you back on again.
Thank you so much for listening, and I hope that you guys can check out some films that we screen. Thank you.
You bet. We will be back with more right after this on Lewis at Large.